What's up, fellas? Extremely happy to see everybody's face after that game on a Victory Monday. But before we get going, we'll hit a couple particulars. If you're out there watching on YouTube, hook us up with a like, a share, and a follow. Obviously, as I've said before, you can find us on all major audio platforms and on all major socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And of course, as always, come find us at bgobsession.com, where we have all come together as the greatest message board in the world. At least that's what we tell ourselves. And so, gentlemen, exactly how we scripted it. 5 turnovers.
I got to say, man, I said last week that we would win. Corey and I were going to take a victory lap. We said we would win, and I said we would have 4 turnovers. I really meant the Eagles.
You meant they would turn it over 4 times.
I'm just going to go with we have 4 turnovers. Hey, Derek, before we get going, I wanted to introduce our guest. We've got Kyle, who calls himself Ragnarok Ohm's son, because our missing man, our brother from Bavaria, Mark, a.k.a. Ohm on the board. Kyle is Ohm's son, and I thought I would embarrass him by throwing a couple pictures up here. We try to go to at least 1 game a year. That's obviously Mark. And
hold on, you're not embarrassing him. If I'm not mistaken, Bob's in this picture. He's just...
No, I'm not in that picture.
Yeah, Bob was at that game, and
let's just say
dreadlocks right behind him. There's Bob.
Let's just say Bob doesn't remember much of this game.
Kyle does. That was actually last season, and I thought I would throw in some pictures of me like 20 years ago with my son, who's home for Christmas, but he's not really a active Washington fan. But we've had a lot of fun over the years. I drag his ass to Redskins games, and he pretends to care. And the last one I'll show is this is us at the Seattle game, the miserable Seattle playoff game, where actually I met Chris from BGO with his like 10-year-old son. So anyway, we're glad to have you, Kyle. Kyle was there. The one game we chose to go to this season was the Bears game. Mark kind of pulled that game out of his hat and said, "Let's go to the Bears game." And oh my God, so to be there, to pick that one game and to be there for that Hail Mary. We hugged a lot of strangers that day, man. At the end of that game, it was like basically just our entire section was group hugging when we hit that Hail Mary. But anyway, I'm just glad, Kyle, really great kid, young man and veteran. And we're glad you're here with us because we can always use a little bit of fresh perspective, under the age of 50 perspective.
Glad to be here. Appreciate you guys inviting me.
So,
all right, Derek, back to you, bud.
Yeah, 5 turnovers. We give up 33 points to their backup quarterback. And you tell me Saquon Barkley busts it for what, 160 plus?
Yeah, it was
like
bad.
that, yeah.
And you're telling me we won the game. I think I'm calling bullshit every time. But, hey, that was awesome. Like, that was an awesome, gutty performance. That was something that you see teams that just find ways to win. We found a way to beat the Saints when the clocks were against us, and then now we just hung 36 against one of the best defenses in the league when they're fighting for their playoff seeding as much as we are. So, I mean, I was utterly impressed. Obviously, you don't want to give up 33 points, but when you score 36, you can afford to give up 33.
Can I ask you guys a question? Was anyone else? I got teary-eyed, man, at the end of that game when we hit the winning when we hit the winning touchdown pass. I don't know why, man, but I just got tearful and I was so happy. And maybe it's just because I'm not used to. It felt a lot like the Cleveland game, if I'm being honest. It felt a lot like that. Just, I don't know, man. It's probably just me, but I kind of lost it. My wife's like looking at me like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" But I thought it was a great win.
I can't say I got teary-eyed, but for the first time in probably, 15 years, I actually jumped up off my couch and yelled at the top of my lungs when we scored that touchdown. So, I mean, it wasn't tears, but there was some kind of emotion that was foreign to me as a Commander fan that I haven't felt in a long time. And I think a big part of that is our quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
He is a legitimate cheat code.
Yeah, he is.
Like, I don't know a better way to explain it, but he's a cheat code. That 4th and 11 scramble, like that whole fourth quarter, that was Jaden Daniels saying, I got this. And the wildest thing about him, and one of the things that makes you truly almost lose your breath watching him play, he makes a terrible mistake throwing an interception. And it was like, nope, I got this. We're not losing this football game. I'm not going to let it happen. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And he just took it over. It was crazy.
So, Kyle, you've spent your whole life, like, I feel bad for guys your age that have somehow got sucked into being Washington fans because, I got to see, I saw the Super Bowl wins. I got to experience that at your age. But what's it like watching? What's your emotion watching someone like Jaden Daniels in his rookie year do what he's doing as a guy who's never seen a really good quarterback under center for Washington in your whole life?
So it's skeptical optimism for me, since I don't know what it's like to have that good team. I don't know what it's like to actually know what a proper franchise is supposed to feel like. So every time something good happens, I'm just waiting for that negativity, that something else to come in and bring it back down to earth type of thing. I don't know. It's some off-field drama. And it's just not happening. It's not happening. I know my neighbors now know that I'm a Commanders fan.
There you go.
I will admit, probably just because I haven't seen all the winning and stuff like that. After the pick, there was that little voice in my head saying, it's game over. Like, that was it. That was our chance. But there was that other voice, that new voice that I'm not used to yet, saying, well, wait a minute. We got 5 on our team.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold everything. Defense steps up. Shout out to Devonta Smith. Very, very good catch, my friend. I appreciate it. Gave us the ball back, and that was all she wrote. Once we got the ball back with 2 minutes, I had no doubt. No doubt.
That game was kind of a perfect game for if you have doubts and PTSD. This game was the game for you, man, because every time we did something good, something not so good happened right after. It just felt like one of those games where every time we pulled within reach, the first half we pulled in within 7 and then immediately gave up a touchdown. And it just seemed like over and over again, when we started to feel like we had a chance to win it, something bad would happen. Either some ridiculous call by the official, which there were a ton of those, or the Eagles made a play. And even though they had Pickett in there, they still were dangerous and they still made a lot of plays. So I can tell you in our chat room, it was almost unbearable. So I actually left chat because I'm like, I can't deal with it. The whole, doom and gloom. It's all over every 30 seconds. And so I just had to step away, and I came back later on after things, after the result, if I'm being honest.
So I had one of those weird end of games yesterday. We order groceries on Sundays, and the family tradition is when the groceries show up, everything in the house stops, and all of us go do groceries, put them up, bring them in, the whole bit, right? Groceries showed up at the 2-minute warning.
The groceries stayed on the front porch.
Yeah.
No. So I paused the game, and of course I'm semi out of breath at this point in time because everybody knows what's going on at the 2-minute warning. but we're losing. So I paused the game. My wife's like, "Are you okay?" And I went, "I'm fine. Let's just take care of this." So I come back to the couch after we take care of groceries. I stayed out of chat. I picked up my phone and I've got a text message from my best friend. I have known Brett for 50 years. John, he's my buddy that went to Edison, right?
Oh yeah.
And he lives in Fairfax now. He texts me and he goes, "Are you seeing this?" And I went, "Shut up." I said, don't.
La, 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 la.
Exactly. I said, "Look, I'm 2 minutes behind you. Do not tell me what's going on," because I had a weird feeling that I haven't had in years. We're down by 5. We didn't even have the football at the 2-minute warning, if I remember correctly. I want to say Philadelphia did. In fact, I know Philadelphia did because I rewatched the game today. And so we're down by 5. Philadelphia's got the football and they're driving. But for whatever reason, when I paused that TV to go get groceries, I thought, we're going to win this game. I don't know why I thought that, because just like 4 plays before that, A.J. Brown had caught the ball on 4th and 11 and made 13 yards against Benjamin St. Just. And that felt like the bottom was going to drop out. But whatever happened between that play and the 2-minute warning, I went, you know what? We're not losing this football game.
I can explain why you felt that way. I can
Okay,
explain.
please, Corey, because I can't figure it out.
I think I already did one time, and it's number 5, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, but he wasn't even on the field at that point.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. He's a cheat code, bro.
You get him.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, right now, I think that man is sewed up offensive rookie of the year. But when you look at him for MVP consideration, he's not going to get it. Let's be clear first off. But when you look at the MVP numbers, he is right in the thick of things.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a better completion percentage than Lamar Jackson. He's got 400 less passing yards. He has 15 less TDs. That's huge, and that's going to be a big deal. He has 4 more interceptions. He has something like 15, 20 yards less rushing than Lamar. And he has 1 more rushing touchdown. Compared to Josh Allen, he's got a better completion percentage, 300 less passing yards, 4 less TDs, 2 more interceptions, 233 more rushing yards, and he's 5 less rushing touchdowns. If you were going to tell me that our rookie quarterback was even going to be in the league with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I would tell you that I have every bit of confidence in this team, not just because of him, but because of the high tide rises, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the high tide for the Commanders, and he has made a significant difference for this franchise.
The thing that's amazing about him is a lot of quarterbacks, it's kind of like the kicker when the clock is winding down, the team's driving into field goal range, and they show the shot of the kicker on the sideline. And he looks like he wants to be anywhere else other than on the sideline, getting ready to have to kick a game-winning or a game-losing field goal. Jaden Daniels, he loves this shit. You can see it.
Yeah.
And he pretty much said that after the game, that going out there with the game on the line and having to do it, it's make or break time. I think he loves it. And to see that in a guy that young, it just blows my mind. I mean, we outscored the Eagles 22-6 in the 4th quarter after being down 27-14 through 3 quarters. And it was all Jaden. Those 22 points, it was all Jaden Daniels, all of it. And that is just mind-blowing.
Now,
Yeah. I was going to say, for me, after that last pick, I said some bad words. And my kid was like, "What happened?" I was like, "Oh, we just threw a pick." And she goes, "Well, will we get the ball back?" And I said, "Well, hopefully there's a good chance we'll get it back." She goes, "Just matter of fact," she goes, "Well, if Jaden Daniel gets the ball back, we're going to win." Just matter of factly. And then went back to what she was doing. And I think it's cool that she's that's just normal for her now. And then at the kickoff, McCaffrey had a good return. And then the Eagles had a dumb penalty too. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, there's no doubt we're just gonna drive down and score with JD5 at the helm." So it's like you said, it's a cheat code. There's only a few special guys in the league, and when you have that, you can overcome some deficiencies in your team.
So some you can overcome a lot.
Yeah,
5 turnovers.
yeah.
I mean, let's be real. It's everybody on this. I would assume everybody on this podcast believes we need, at a minimum, another wide receiver on offense, right? I would argue we probably need 3 more playmakers on offense. We lost.
Me too, Derek. But I want to point out, I want to ask you guys and see if you come up with the same 2. There are 2 guys, 2 wide receivers in this game that I thought played their ass off. One of them I know Corey is gonna shake his head at, but there's 2 guys that made plays that don't normally make plays. Who am I talking about?
Crowder.
Crowder's one of them, right?
And
OZ injured all season.
Yeah, OZ.
Yeah, Crowder caught 2 balls, and they were both touchdowns. He was
the
2
first
of 4.
one and the last one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I know Olamide, or Zacchaeus, he had his moments of. I know, I see you, Corey. He's always, it's always great or awful, right? It's something. There's never anything in between. But he did show up when they needed him most. So I agree with you, though. We're not there on the wide receiver front. We need some help.
Well, what I meant though is I think we all would agree we're playing with a deficient wide receiver room, right?
Right.
You got Terry McLaurin, and then you got a bunch of guys. And I love Crowder. I love the story. I love, I'm interested in Osborne, but I don't think anybody thinks that Osborne is coming in here to become a legitimate long-term number 2 wide receiver. So
and Noah Brown, yeah,
you're right. Noah Brown's hurt. Eckler's hurt. Ertz was injured, but he played. But
Yeah.
we're looking at an offensive team that is not a premier offensive team. We are probably not even top 20 if you look at talent on our offense in that game. But to Corey's point, raising the level.
Yeah.
You've got a guy like Jaden Daniels.
Exactly.
That
So
you like. Have you guys seen the end zone view throw of the touchdown to Crowder?
no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, I'll see if I can share it to our group message. I suggest you go watch it, and you watch. Crowder's not even looking at Jaden, and he's got a guy between him and Jaden when that ball comes out of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and you want to talk about a tight window. There was nothing against Crowder. He didn't have to do anything, and you know what I mean? Like, Daniels made the perfect throw, made the perfect read. He did exactly what he needed to do to the point where none of it was on Crowder. All he needed to do was get to a spot. So when you got a guy like Jaden, he makes their lives that much easier. So guys like, you hung 36 points on the Eagles with this team. It's insane.
Yeah, like the number 1 defense.
I got 2 quick points. I want to back up. John said something about how many points we scored in the 4th quarter versus the Eagles. Those are great numbers. I'll tell you what the number that I'm looking at, and that's 5. Take the 5 turnovers. Hell, take any 2 of those turnovers off the board. Specifically early in the game, like say take the first 2 off the board. We don't have to score 24 points in the 4th quarter. We are eating their lunch all game long because 2 of their early touchdowns came off turnovers from us. So you take their touchdowns off the board, even just putting field goals up there. And we effectively wiped the floor with a team that this time last week I said might very well be the single best team in the NFL. Certainly the best defense in the NFL over the course of the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. They've been playing lights out defense. No one has done anything to them. That's the first point. The second point is, other than Amendola, Moss, and who's the other guy out of the slot? The little guy in New England.
Welker.
Edelman.
Welker. Name me
Well,
or Edelman. All right. Take those 4 guys off the board. Now name me 4 more wide receivers Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls with. You can't. Okay. I mean, I can come up with a couple because I went and looked them up, but most people can't. Name me an offensive lineman. You have a quarterback as good as Jaden Daniels, and you don't have to have the same level of talent that the Philadelphia Eagles do to make Jalen Hurts look good. You don't have to have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley. Does it help? Yes, it does. But when you've got a quarterback that throws guys open the way you just talked, the way you just described Daniels throwing Crowder open in the end zone, you can throw to a Jamison Crowder all day long and make yards. Tom Brady made a living out of it. And is arguably, and I mean, not arguably, he's the GOAT, right? I mean, nobody's going to argue with that statement. And he did it without a cast of all-stars most of his career. All right, I guess we should throw Gronkowski in there. You know, let's face it, he's probably one of the best 2 or 3 tight ends ever to play the game. But I mean, come on, think about that. We've got great talent as it is. And they just lit up the defense everybody thought was the best defense in the league going into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, I agree with both points. I think we desperately need another wide receiver. We need to take pressure off Terry McLaurin. But to Bob, your point, when you have Jaden Daniels, that lessens, right? But look at Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, right? He's an excellent player, but he needed help. But the one thing, Derek, you didn't even touch on offensively is the offensive line. I think if we are serious about being a contender, we have to clean up the offensive line, specifically the left tackle position, where I think Coleman actually played well, but I'd like to see him on the other side. I think we need a true left tackle. We got to get Wiley out of there, and Biotish is without a doubt our best player on offense, in my opinion, not named Jaden Daniels or Terry McLaurin.
You think he's better than Cosme?
I think he's better than Cosme, yes. I think Cosme's replaceable.
At least this year, I think so.
Yeah, I think he's replaced. I don't think he's bad, and I wouldn't aim to replace him, but I think you could is more my point. But I think our line talent is just lacking so much that Cosme is your second best offensive lineman right now. And that's not a bad thing. I think he's a good player, and I think he starts on some teams in the league. I just don't think he's, all world. I think Biotish is. I think that guy is the real deal. I think he is a stud center, and I think he might be our best offseason acquisition from free agency. And we had some great ones, especially on the other side of the ball.
Who else stood out to you guys in this game? Because there's one name in particular I'm thinking about, but who else just in general stood out that you felt like deserved, pat on the back in this one?
I think I can give Deron Payne a good shout out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know the numbers or not, but Saquon had 109 yards at the end of the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
He ended with 150.
Yep.
We held him to 41 yards the rest of the entire game, and that was a large part to how the defensive line played. Bobby Wagner helped fit a lot, and linebackers. That front seven played out of their minds. The second quarter through the end of the game.
So I think that's a good one. I really liked what I saw from Luke McCaffrey in this game. He was open constantly. The one huge play he could have had was the one. I think that was the one that Jaden sailed the ball and it ended up getting picked. But he was wide open on that with space in front of him. And I don't know about you guys, but why the hell haven't we tried him on as a returner prior till now, or we haven't tried him much? Because that guy was electric on returns. He had 184 yards on 6 kickoff returns. And there were a couple of those returns where I thought he might break it. So I hope they keep doing that. If nothing else, it gets him out there on the field.
Yeah,
he's super athletic. But anyway, I thought he looked great.
If he'd been on returns all year long, Eckler's still playing. Because that concussion happened on a kickoff. So we still have Austin Eckler, which is kind of a big thing. So I just ran the numbers for kicks, right? Kyle got me thinking. Saquon had 150 on 29 carries. 150 on 29 sounds great. One of those was for 68.
Yep.
Take that 68 out, and he averaged less than 3 yards a carry, and that's including a couple of runs that a lot of running backs would love to have any given week early in the game, right? I mean, he had a 20 and a 15-yarder early in the game. God, he looked like he was going to average 10 yards a carry to start this game with, and he finishes with, yeah. Great point, Kyle. We really shut him down. As far as throwing names out there are a couple of really obvious ones, Ron. I mean, I think Fowler and Luvu both had great games. Johnny Newton was kind of everywhere.
Yep.
I think Newton, I kept reading early in the season, oh man, it's another one of those busted play. We drafted a broken guy and he's just going to be broken. Dude's playing some righteous football right now and not playing like a rookie. So big kudos.
So I do go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Special teams related. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there were 2 massive hits on special teams, and they both came at the hands of Tyler Owens.
Yep.
Yeah, his name.
And they were tone setters, like, you know what I mean. So, look, man, I have to say I have to call out the resiliency of the entire team, and not in a bad way, a good one. We had every reason to stop trying. We had every reason to say, you know what, guys, we put up a good fight against against arguably the best team in the league. But no, they ain't scared anymore. Your record doesn't mean shit. Okay, what matters now is if we believe we can win, we can win, and they believe they can win at any time. You wish some of these efforts would have shown up in other games, but this team is gelling in a way like we haven't seen in a long time, man. And it is freaking exciting.
I think this is another game, too, where we spent probably 3/4 of the time allotted tonight on the Eagles game talking about the offense and Jaden, and rightfully so. But that defense, man, even though, I mean, I know some people are going to say they had 211 or something yards rushing, and that's not wrong. But that defense, when they needed to make stops, they made stops. I mean, it's not always pretty, but I keep coming back to that, which is, you know what, we don't have a bunch of, big marquee playmakers on defense, but man, Sanristo continues to have a huge impact as a rookie. I don't know, man. I think we would be remiss if we didn't give them a hat tip, because if they don't stop Philadelphia, I don't think many of us thought going into that game that we're going to stop them and get the ball back one last time. I don't know who said it earlier, but yeah, it's kind of like, I think Bob was saying, we didn't even think we were going to get the ball back, but they stopped them and they forced turnovers. They didn't force 5 turnovers, I don't think, but I know we had 2 forced fumbles.
And that
Luvu pick was beautiful. He totally baited.
Yeah, it did.
It was perfect.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
How much of a difference is our secondary with Marshawn Lattimore out there? I mean, I'm going to be honest. People are dogging him a little bit in the game thread and conversations and chats because he got beat a few times, had a couple pass interference calls. Yeah, he did. But he was all over A.J. Brown the entire game. And I'm going to tell you something. Even those pass interference calls, A.J. Brown knew that no matter where A.J. Brown was going to be, Lattimore was going to be in his hip pocket.
Mm-hmm.
We have not had that on this team when we've played A.J. Brown in the past.
No.
Emmanuel Forbes.
Exactly.
BSJ proved this game that it's almost impossible to cover the guy. Lattimore changes the math, and Sainer still on the outside is a tremendous get. But one guy that we have not talked about that I think deserves a lot more credit than we give him is the guy patrolling the middle of the field, Jeremy Chin. He is a tone setter. He's smart. He knows the game, and he's an aggressive, attacking dog. And when you have dogs all over the field, they have dogs at all 3 levels now. When you have that, it changes the math. And, we talked about the offense, like you said, John, and they deserve it, quite frankly. But this defense was one of the worst units in the NFL last year. And the beginning of the season, the first couple of weeks, it looked like it might be again. And they have completely turned everything around with a few good acquisitions and just some hard work, it looks like. And
they just got the mentality. You talked about
mentality.
dogs, that dog mentality, and I think that's Joe Witt Jr. and Quinn. And I mean, I'm glad you brought up Lattimore because I just want to pile on with that. Yeah, he got beat against probably the best wide receiver tandem in the NFL. And some of those calls were seriously borderline. I think Lattimore also might have been one of the forced one of those fumbles with a hit on somebody. But I mean, I felt like he was right there on all of those plays. He didn't get burned per se. He just, it was just tough to stop some of those completions. But I didn't leave that game thinking, oh, he's not the guy we thought he was. I think I'm not sure he's 100% healthy, but he's got the talent to play cornerback for a while.
And he's got the attitude. If you watch how he plays, he might give up a catch, he might give up a penalty, but like you said, he's going to be in your ass the entire time.
You see that swagger that the great cornerbacks have, right? And that whole, please try me. Come on, try me. I mean, he wants it.
He doesn't back down. He's gritty. He's just nasty. He's got a mean streak. And it's just that you might beat me, but I'm going to make your life a living hell while you do it. And you're going to remember it.
Something Olsen said struck me, and it was fairly early in the game. And there was only one starter on the defense that was a starter on our defense yesterday. Deron Payne was the only holdover starter. Yeah. Quan Martin was the only guy on the field with Deron Payne that was on the damn roster last year. So 2 out of 11 guys on the roster, 1 out of 11 played regularly. It kind of explains. I mean, granted, we talk about defense gelling faster than offense, most years, but it's kind of understandable why it's taken a little time. And Corey, you're absolutely right. Lattimore totally changes the equation for Joe Witt Jr. and what he can do, because you can almost ignore that half of the field, right? It's that whole, this guy's gone. So now we can take the other 10 guys and worry about stopping whatever it is you're going to do, because we're not worried about the one guy Marshawn Lattimore's got. And you just see a complete difference in the way the defense has played the last 2 weeks. And a difference when Lattimore went out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have not clinched a playoff spot. I think it could have happened yesterday, but it didn't. But last time I checked, we're like at 95% chance of making the playoffs at this point, which that makes me nervous when I see that kind of number. And Corey and I were talking before we came on tonight that, we got 2 games left, Atlanta at home, and then on the road to close out the season in Dallas. We got to win. We got to win one of those games to be sure that we get in. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to go into Dallas with them having nothing to play for other than to wreck our season and needing to win that game. I would much rather just take care of business on Sunday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Well, I think this is a different team after yesterday, John. Bold prediction. We don't lose again till the playoffs.
So here's a crazy thought. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. If we went out and Philly loses out, we're NFC East division champs. I know that's crazy, a crazy thing to think about. I don't know who Philadelphia. Well, I know they play NFC East, so I guess it would be Dallas and
they get New York. They get
Cowboys Giants.
Giants. Yeah, Cowboys Giants. They get Cowboys at home. Oh, they're both home games. Dallas at the Link and then New York at the Link.
Yeah, I mean, the Tampa Bay's got the Panthers at home and then the Saints at home. And then Seattle is at the Bears and at the Rams. Tampa Bay could win these last 2. which means if they win the last 2, we got to win 1. So I think to be safe, we need 11. But we win 1 more game, we're in. They can't catch us. So I would just say get it done. Although I don't like the idea of resting guys. Maybe this is a different conversation, but I don't like that idea. I think bye weeks throw you off your rhythm a little bit, and I don't want to be off our rhythm going into the playoffs. So even if we win, we got to play our guys, and then if things go real well against Dallas, you pull them a little bit early. But I think you got to ride that momentum. Let's get 1 this week, and then let's see what happens with Dallas. But we got to get 1.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So what do you guys know about Atlanta, man? Who knows the Falcons?
Yeah, so Atlanta is actually a really interesting team. They actually have 2 really good receivers that are pretty not heralded in the media. Drake London's got 978 yards, and Darnell Mooney has 955 yards. So those 2 guys are having great seasons for Atlanta. They got Bijan Robinson, who their coach, for some reason, in key moments, decides not to give him the football, which I find to be extremely interesting because Bijan can go. Bijan's got 1,200 rushing yards so far this year. So he's no slouch. He's not Saquon, but he's capable of breaking runs like Saquon. So we got to be careful with him. But, they have Michael Penix Jr., who's going to be starting his 2nd game now.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows what's going to happen.
And the first game was not good. Let's just acknowledge that. It was not great. He was 18 of 27, 202 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick.
Yeah, so, the pick wasn't really his fault. Pitts dropped it right in the defender's hands.
Yeah.
So I think Penix is a pretty good quarterback, and I think he's going to be an interesting guy to watch, and I think he's more dangerous than people give him credit for. But he's not JD5. We have the secret weapon. We have the X factor.
What do you think about the Falcons, Kyle? Are you worried about that one?
I wouldn't really say worried per se, but I don't think you can sleep on them. I didn't see much from the Falcons. I watched Red Zone for the good portion of yesterday. I did watch our game, to be fair. I have to say that. I did watch our game. I didn't have it down here. But I did watch Red Zone and go back and watch. And Penix looked accurate, but I didn't see a lot of touch on his throws. Almost every time there was a clip of Penix, it was just an absolute bullet, throwing as hard as he can, as flat as he can. I'm sure he has that aspect to his game, but I'm not overly scared of a guy who just rifles the ball as hard as he can every time. Bijan Robinson scares me a little bit. I watching him run, he looks like Saquon Barkley. At least how he runs, the type of immediate cuts and acceleration that he can have. He reminds me of him. So, I mean, the game plan that we used against Saquon the second half of the game should work against him. Just sort of that, make sure we stop their running game. And I think, assuming Lattimore's healthy, I haven't actually heard one way or the other yet. Assuming he plays, he's on London, I feel pretty confident our defense can slow them down. And I don't think anybody's slowing our offense down at this point. So I'm definitely thinking a win. I'm not sure if I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I'm definitely thinking a win.
We're the better team. I believe that. I think we are the better team on the field. Penix, and it's not a knock against Penix. He's a rookie, and what Jaden Daniels is doing as a rookie is not the norm. It's more likely that the alternative is how a rookie performs in the rookie season, especially at quarterback. So, I think the Dan Quinn and the vets of this team, Bobby Wagner, Eckler, some of these guys they're gonna have these guys ready. I don't think we are gonna take them lightly. That being said, you can lose any damn week. I mean, just look what we just did to Philly, right? Like, look what the Saints almost did to us. So there is a level of that. I think that a lot of what happened yesterday with Atlanta was that the rookie starting his first game emotional boost. Some of that's going to wear off a little bit, but
And he was playing against the Giants.
And he was playing against one of the worst defenses in the league. Yeah.
Didn't Atlanta score on defense twice too? I think it was a little.
Yeah,
yes, they did. So that there was a lot there to that win that had nothing to do with Penix. So I think Bijan Robinson, you're going to have to contain him and not give up the home run. And if you do that, I think at a minimum, we can outscore him. But if you effectively do that, then maybe we can even shut them down while we do it.
So they have beaten some good teams. They swept the Bucs, and the Bucs are a pretty damn good team, as we know from the season opener. Although they seem to be fading right now, but they swept the Bucs. They beat the Eagles in week 2, and again that was early. And then they also beat Dallas, and Dallas is they have their moments. I guess one question I have is somebody mentioned Eckler. Is there a chance we get Eckler back anytime soon?
For the last game, he's not eligible to come back for this game.
So I bring him up because the other one I wanted to mention is I think John Allen's going to be back in the mix before too long.
I think his window's open.
Yes,
he's
practicing with the team. Yep.
I wonder if we couldn't see him this weekend even. I don't know.
Think there's a good chance.
But
I think there's a very good chance because they went out of their way to actually say he's going to be out against Philly. So when they say that, it's not just the token activation. They're looking to get him back on the field. And
all right, so let me ask you guys a question. Let's go back a year. John Allen has the same injury with the same time frame. Is John Allen on the field right now?
No.
And is John Allen not on the field right now because John Allen's just not fighting to get back into a football team
I think that
nowhere?
Yeah, I don't know that you want to mess with the rotation right now. I'm kind of against the grain a little bit on that. I think John Allen's a great football player. I don't care if he comes back. I'm going to be honest with you. He didn't really do a whole lot this season when he was in. We've been seeing Newton shine. Jalen Holmes had a sack yesterday. Clelin Ferrell was excellent playing D-end and D-tackle kind of hybrid type thing. I don't know that I want John Allen in the mix. Being honest.
That's fair. That's a fair perspective. I can see that argument. So one advantage I feel like we have is I think we have a big coaching advantage in this one. And I know I harp on that, or especially early on. We've played a lot of teams with inexperienced coaching staffs. They've got Raheem Morris. This is his second year as a head coach. Their OC and DC are both first-year guys, and not just first-year OCs in Atlanta, but first-year OC and DC anywhere. So Zach Robinson's their OC. He was a Rams passing coordinator before he came to Atlanta. Jimmy Lake is their DC. He's a first-year DC. He was assistant head coach with the Rams prior to this, but they do have some experienced position coaches like Ken Zampese and Jerry Gray. But I just think that's an advantage when you look at the coaching staff we have. Not that they're out there on the field, but we have a lot of experience. And I think that's one of the things that we don't talk a lot about. But when we see things like we saw on Sunday, I think you could tie it directly back to the coaching that they're not. And I don't know who brought it up earlier, but the fact that we were getting rocked with the rushing attack early on to the point where it felt like they don't even need to pass. They can just hand it off to Saquon, and then they shut it the hell down. And that doesn't just happen because the players decide I'm going to play harder. They scheme some stuff up and they shut it down, more or less. So I just think that's a big deal, and I like our chances against Atlanta, who I will give them credit. They moved on from Kirk, right? Which I think that was a really ballsy, pretty ballsy call there, and probably not just their call, but.
Yeah, I agree with the coaching, and even the last play of the game that we just won, I saw a report they practiced that exact same scenario during the week this week, and that exact same play they ran and did the same thing. So the team is always pretty prepared. The coaches know what they're doing. I also think another thing that works into our advantage, if I remember right from college, Penix he's not really a scrambler. He's more of a traditional pocket guy. So I think that'll help our defense as well.
I know he didn't rush. He didn't put up any significant yards on the ground this past weekend, but I think you're probably right about that. Well, do we want to make predictions?
We can do that. Let me get my book ready. As a reference, John did say we were going to win 33-31. That was pretty damn close, buddy.
Yeah, well, speaking of blind pigs, blind squirrels.
Yeah, blind pigs find a beer every once in a while.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, well, back to back. You hit the prediction. What's your choice? What do you think is going to happen this week?
Let's see. What do I think? So I think we're going to truck them. I feel like, and the one thing I was looking at their stats as by unit, and one thing that jumped out at me is they are on the passing defense. They're only 21st against the yards, 30th against touchdowns. And I guess my thought was, I don't think I want to have the almost dead last passing defense keeping passing touchdowns out of the end zone against someone like Jaden Daniels. So that was really the only stat of theirs that leapt out at me, is that they're not very good against the pass. They're pretty good against, they're actually tops in the league on the rushing defense on the ground, keeping teams out of from scoring rushing touchdowns. Exact opposite with the passing game, though. Almost dead last. So I think Jaden is going to have his biggest, most productive game of the year in terms of yards, and I'm talking like 400 yards passing, that kind of a game. And so I'm picking us to win 42-21.
Oh, shit. All right, 42-21. All right. Our lovely guest, Ragnarok, what you got, brother?
So I am thinking we're going to win it. I know we generally, if they're good against the run, I feel like they're going to get us and it's some third and longs. They might get some pressure, might force a couple stops. I'm going to go with like a 31-20 win.
31-20 Washington.
We got a prediction from Canadian Hog also at some point, Derek.
I got you. Corey, what you got?
Yeah, look, they can stop our running game all we want. We didn't really have one this week. Brian Robinson put his foot in his mouth a little bit this week. So I'm not really concerned with them being able to stop our running game. I don't think they're going to be able to stop our offense. And that's what it basically all boils down to me. I don't think Penix can hang. I think he's going to feel like he has to be in a track meet, and I think he's going to make mistakes. I am very similar to John yet again. I'm saying Washington 41, Atlanta 14. I don't think they're going to win.
I like it.
I feel like I might need to take, just so the mojo is right, I might have to pick against us so that we all don't pick. Tony, what do you got, bro?
Oh, man. Yeah, similarly, I think we're going to, come out, prepare the team. Our offense, I think, is just going to be too much for Atlanta. And fortunately for us, also, it's only Penix's second start. So I think we're getting them at a good time. And then randomly, also, when we're talking about doing the scores, I also thought 31-20, like my man. So yeah, I'm sticking with that too. 31-20. We cement ourselves for the playoffs.
Great minds.
Exactly.
All right. Bob.
Oh, I actually think Brian Robinson redeems himself this week. If there's one guy on our football team I think is probably seriously motivated after yesterday, it's Robinson. I watched him beating himself up on the sideline in For the record, I rewatched the game today. The only thing better than watching the game yesterday, guys, is watching the game today, because then you get to revel in all of the bullshit that's going on the Philadelphia sideline in the first half, knowing what's going to happen to them in the final 3 minutes of this football game. And it is way, way too much fun. Don't do the condensed version. Watch the 3-hour game. It's totally worth your time. It's the most fun you're going to have this week, short of opening presents on Christmas. Anyway, I think Robinson actually has a pretty good game. And I think they feed him the football. I think he's pissed and they feed him the football. But even so, I think this is like 36-16. And it's never close. I think Atlanta gets an early touchdown to make it look like it's going to be a football game, and they never see the end zone again. It's all field goals. And I think the defense scores. Defense or special teams, one or the other actually gets to the end zone this week. Daniels is going to have a great game. I don't know that he goes for 400. I think Robinson sees the lion's share of the work in the second half, and we just wear him out and beat him up.
Yeah, my gut has, the scars of Redskins past has me wondering if this is a letdown type of game, but I can't believe that would happen. Not with we have not seen anything to lead us to believe. And you could even argue the Saints game, we came out hot, but I haven't seen anything to lead us to believe that. So I gotta say we're gonna take this game and we're gonna do it relatively comfortably. 30 to 19, kind of a weird number there. And it's only 30 because we let our foot off the gas towards the end of the game. So gentlemen,
wait,
Paul.
Paul.
This is what Paul had to say. Give me a second to find it here.
I can try to text my dad real quick. I don't even know if he's awake.
I had it pulled up, guys. Sorry about that. So, Canadian Hog. I think he's relatively positive this week. He said we haven't won 6 home games since 2005. We haven't won 11 games in 33 years. We have the opportunity to do that Sunday night versus Atlanta in a season where this team seems to be making all sorts of team records fall. It seems fitting that we accomplish those feats as well. The season feels magical on so many levels, so why stop here when the fate of our season is literally in our own control? Jaden and company know they need to be sharper and not beat themselves this coming Sunday. The team has generally done a very good job of responding the next week and getting better in moments where they've faltered all season long. I expect a clean game where we don't commit 5 turnovers like last Sunday. We ultimately win 27-24. Benjamin St. Juste has his best game of the year. I don't know how high of a bar that is, and we cement our well-deserved spot in the postseason. While I didn't streak, he says, I didn't streak a Mexican beach after we beat Philly like I said I would. Mrs. Canadian Hog was having no part of getting me out of a Mexican prison. I will do a polar plunge when I return to Canada with a win.
There you go.
Nice.
That's fair. I have a friend that spent time in a Mexican prison. Mrs. CH does not want to be trying to get Paul out of a Mexican prison. That's no fun. That buddy of mine still will not talk about it. He spent 4 days in a Mexican prison. He will not talk about it. So, yeah.
It's like Vegas.
hey, one I think we'd be so 2 things real quick. Number one more touchdown and Terry owns the single season record for the team in touchdowns. I think he probably gets that this weekend. And the second thing is this team is aware of history. Did you guys see the locker room shots of McLaren giving a game ball to Quinn? Because he's the first head coach in the history of the team to win double digits in his first year.
Yeah.
This team is aware. And guys like Wagner and McLaren and Payne and Daniels aren't going to let this team forget about it. So I see really good things.
I think Terry gets 2 this week, by the way.
Nice.
That would be awesome.
I was kind of
fellas-
surprised he didn't get 2 yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm sure he was pissed because he should have had like 4 the week before.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, as always, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate the guest appearances, and obviously Corey, thanks for coming back again. If you made it this far, we appreciate you. Give us a like, a share, a follow, and as always, come hook us up at bgdeception.com. All right, boys, that'll do, pigs. That'll do.